Vinyl community, it's good to see you. Mr. Rick here once again with another record review, I guess we'll call it. I got to thinking this afternoon about why not go and pick out a year and look at some of the hot records from that year. So I chose the year 1972. Now in 1972 I was a teenager and hadn't entered high school yet. It was in the 7th or 8th grade, I can't remember which. It's going to set the world on fire. And then I found out I didn't have any matches. So anyway, I thought we'd take a look at just a few of the records that came out in 1972. And maybe if you're old enough, you remember where you were when these things came out. First one we'll take a look at is one by Carly Simon. Now this was No Secrets is what this was called. And The Right Thing to Do came out with it. It was with a hit, and You're So Vain. We've all heard that record. You probably remember that one. Let me tilt that so you can see it. There's Carly Simon's 1972 offering. And a pretty good album, I might add. Then a group came out called the Raspberries. They put out, this is their second LP. If you remember the Fresh Raspberries. I Want to Be With You was the hit on it, but it was also one called Nobody Knows, I think, was the other one that was the hit. And Going Nowhere Tonight was the flip side of I Want to Be With You. But another good album, and a good group, too. I've got both their first and second albums, and they both came out in 1972, but the first album that I've got doesn't have a jacket, so I've got to invent one. But anyway, there's the second Raspberries album, Fresh, from the golden year 1972. Of course, one of the first Southern rock groups that came out, the Byrds, came out with their Greatest Hits Volume 2. It was called The Best of the Byrds. And another good album, The Ballad of Easy Rider, if you remember that, was on it, from 1969. Jesus Was Just All Right from 70. The Story of the Chestnut Mare, you may remember that one. And let's see what else is on here. The Drugstore Truck Driving Man, which was a song that was dedicated to Ralph Emery. I Want to Grow Up to Be a Politician and America's Great National Pastime. It's just a few of the hits that are on The Best of the Byrds. This is a promotional album which went to the radio stations, and I enjoy that when comes out. I listen to it a lot. 1972, also Neil Diamond was popular back then, and he put out an album called Hot August Nights, and this was a hit. Can't remember the hit off of it, to be honest with you, but it's a good album. He sings all his hits, of course. Porcupine Pie, Play Me, Song Sung Blue, and all the hits from the past. Holly Holy, I Am, I Said. And this album sold pretty good. This was Neil Diamond and Hot August Nights. Of course, we can't forget old Eric Clapton, because that was the year we heard Layla. And came out on a Polydor label, and of course it was Derek and the Dominoes, and I'll be honest with you, for a long time I had no idea that this was Clapton, but I had to learn that. And but Layla was the big hit on it, and I think there was another hit that he had off of this. Was it Bell Bottom Blues? Might have been. But anyway, a good concert album, not a good concert album, it's a good album, and Eric Clapton there as Derek and the Dominoes. That was a big album for him. 1972, JT came along with One Man Dog, I think is what it was called, or One Dog Man. And he, of course, had put out Sweet Baby James a year earlier. And I can't remember what the hit is off of this, but another one from JT. There's the backside of it, if you can. That's back when he had hair, of course. You look at him today, he's almost completely bald. But James Taylor's good offering there. There was a group called Bread, which came out in 1970, and they had a lot of big hits. They were really middle of the road or light rock kind of band, but still they could rock when they wanted to. And The Guitar Man was the hit off of this album. Also Aubrey. There was a song that they put out called Aubrey, which was a hit. And we enjoyed Bread, at least I did. I've got several of their albums, and they were good. Mike Bott and David Gates and company from the album Guitar Man. Okay. Back in 1972, I started collecting Jim Reeves albums from the countryside. I was a big Jim Reeves fan for a lot of years. Matter of fact, I collected his entire library that came out on RCA Victor for the American stuff anyway. And this is an album that, of course, he died in 1964, but his records kept coming out and they kept producing them until around 1982 or 3. And this was the hit, was the Writings on the Wall. On this one was the big hit. And I just enjoyed his singing and his selection of songs that he recorded. Jim Reeves. Now, there was a group called Free, which came out, I guess around 1970. This is their greatest hits album from 1972. Their biggest hit was All Right Now, if you remember that one. I hadn't heard any of the other. Of course, they were an English group. I mean, you know, most of their stuff played on the English radio, but All Right Now did make it to America and was a #1 hit for them. And if you're familiar with them, they sound a lot like Bad Company. That's because that's what they turned into, Bad Company. And then they really took off across America. But this is their album from 1972, their greatest hits album. And All Right Now. There was also some of the hits for Fire and Water, The Highway Song, A Little Bit of Love, and several others. And I just received this album, and I enjoyed it. It was good, Free. Also, going back to the country, Lynn Anderson's greatest hits came out then. When I was a schoolboy, I was infatuated with her. I thought she was the prettiest blonde I'd ever seen. I used to watch her when she was on Hee Haw or the Buck Owens Show or any of those other ones. And, of course, Rose Garden leads it off. It's a good, that's her biggest hit. And she got Cry, How Can I Unlove You, How Can I Unlove You, Stay There Till I Get There, Listen to a Country Song, and several others. And she was something. And Lynn Anderson, this is her greatest hits came out in 1972. And last but not least, America. I was an America fan. I really liked their songs. A Horse with No Name, which came out, and I think this is their third album, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Homecoming, and Ventura Highway was the hit off of it. And California Revisited, I think, also was a hit. I'm not 100% sure of that, but there's their 1972 offering, one of their 1972 offerings, America Homecoming. Hope you enjoyed that, and we'll get together and have another idea of something to show you next week. And as we always, Mr. Rick saying that if the good Lord's willing and the creeks don't rise, we'll see you for long.